Guys, my name's Kevin Lepso, founder of ETHGas. I have the, you'll be hearing from me a little bit later on. I have the honor and pleasure of introducing Sam here, whom I met where? In Thailand. Thailand, yeah. We were sweating together. Little bit of background on Sam here. So he comes from a macro background, macro investor for 15 years, deploying capital across major asset classes in nearly a decade on digital assets. Before launching his firm, Lafayette Macro, he was head of digital assets for Louis Bacon's family office, Moore Capital, in New York. Prior to that, he launched the first global macro fund, trading digital assets from the family office of Mike Novogratz at Galaxy, of course. During that time, he also helped pioneer the crypto options market and contributed to a bunch of research establishing Bitcoin and crypto as a new asset class. Sam began his career in prop trading at Bear Stearns and JP Morgan prior to the Volcker rule of 2012. He is an active participant at the annual Chicago booth US Monetary Policy Forum, and he collaborates very closely with the Ethereum Foundation researchers and advising leading Ethereum projects and multiple financial institutions. Please give a warm welcome to Sam Jernigan.
Thank you. Obviously, I know a lot of you here. Rather than do some slides, I had to do some for an earlier talk, and I just ran out of time. But I actually thought maybe the best thing to do is actually kind of tell a little bit of the history of how a lot of this came together and maybe why I'm here. I mean, first of all, the fact that I'm talking, it should let you know that this is still very much under the radar and you're early, and this is an opportunity. Because otherwise, many other people would be telling this story. I would say maybe starting 18 months ago, does that sound about right, Drew? There was an effort that got started around, by Justin Drake, how could we start bringing bringing together Ethereum, right? Solving some of the concerns around Ethereum being fractured. And that just started with a series of calls and chat groups, et cetera, as these things often do. And, you know, flash forward to today, after, again, probably spending a third of last year living somewhere around the world with some of the people in this room and others who will be around later. I've gotten to know a lot of the builders in this space. I think Drew and I are probably the only two non-technical people that were on this roadshow of 40 to 60 really impressive, fully committed people. I think that, again, I only really want to associate or be out speaking about something if I feel like it's under the radar or it's something that deserves this type of attention. I just saw that guy John Turbinow just 2 weeks ago, you know, say there was no case for base sequencing and had never heard of the idea of a, you know, basically like a corporate private permissioned execution environment, which is insane, right? He's clearly not doing as much work as most people. He's too much on Twitter and not enough work. So it felt necessary to get out and kind of tell the story a little bit. I think you're going to get fractures of it along the way, but I wanted to tell a little bit of a cohesive view. One in particular that I think is very exciting. So, I mean, some of you already know, if you've read some of what Gattaca has put out, Kubi's landing shortly, and we'll be talking later. But, you know, you've obviously heard that, you know, base sequencing or native rollups, et cetera, will potentially allow us to kind of unify Ethereum. But I think it's actually more than that. And I think that this is probably the least told story or potential is what I like to call zero click, zero hire, and 24-hour to deploy private permissioned execution environments for TradFi. So whether you're, I don't know if Franklin Templeton's here, I don't know if Greg's here, or a Stripe or any type of financial institution can have an execution environment. Let's call it you could call it a roll-up, right? But it can effectively be an execution environment where it is based, it is sequenced by Ethereum L1 validators, and yet it also still has you can literally designate what tokens you want in that execution environment. So you could say, I only want, say, FT, Franklin Templeton USD, Franklin Templeton staked ETH, or Puff and Puff restaked ETH, for example. And Franklin Templeton has to hire no one. They don't have to do any tech work on that. It can be deployed nearly overnight, and they can get that sequencing as a service by the most credible and decentralized validator set, which is the Ethereum L1 validators. And the added benefit, I think, for chains in particular, so stepping back from maybe these individual corporate execution environments, for the larger roll-ups, from day one, one of the challenges has been with the large public permissionless roll-ups has been a little bit of a political economy problem. I don't talk about this. Is this recorded? I don't talk about this too much, but I think that there is the leading roll-ups today. Some of them are hesitant to commit to becoming based roll-ups because they are in the leading position, right? So if you're one of the top 1, 2, or 3 roll-ups, you're worried that you're giving up the moat of your TVL and your liquidity, basically. And I actually think it's the opposite. I actually think that it's the opposite. And in fact, while they retain this legacy rigidity to change, there's an opportunity for smaller and up-and-coming, more innovative and aggressive teams that want to go after the majors. You can do that because what base sequencing with pre-confirmations does is allow you to synchronously compose across roll-ups and with the L1. And that is a superpower. And one of the superpowers, the initial one, will be for execution pre-confirmations, where you can have much better, you can share the liquidity with the L1. You can also share liquidity across your ecosystem of L2s that are also have shared sequencing via base sequencing. And then down the road, most immediately visible via the team at ETHGas will be execution pre-confirmations. And these will be pretty sick, to be honest. And I think the superpower here is going to be stablecoins or different types of financial products in particular, where you want to not only get confirmation of inclusion in the block, but you actually want to get confirmation of the price. So think about that. One of the reasons that stablecoins today are so inefficient, ETH only or crypto collateralized, over collateralized stablecoins haven't had more success is because they are very capital inefficient relative to fiat stablecoins, which are 100% capital efficient, right? Because it's just reputation. It's like Lido is perfectly capital efficient, right? Because it's reputation. The same thing with a fiat stablecoin like USDC or Tether. It's 100% reputation, right? So it's perfectly capital efficient, whereas a decentralized, over collateralized stablecoin is not. One way we can make them more capital efficient is to simply be able to have greater confirmation around at what price a vault or a loan, in effect, will be liquidated. And execution pre-confirmations will enable that superpower. And so that is something that for those of you in the room that are kind of looking down the road, that is a killer app. That is a killer app that is, I wouldn't say it's live today, but it is in the visible horizon. The immediate opportunity is juicy enough. Again, this shared composability with the L1 liquidity. And I think that, I do think that eventually some of the large rollups like Optimism, et cetera, are going to see the light and come around. Right now, I think they're very tempted to try to hold on to their hegemony because they're in the leading position. But that is going to be the downfall if they don't pivot quick enough. So I encourage all of you to, this is a really exciting superpowers that are coming to Ethereum via base sequencing and pre-confirmations. It is the robust product of over 18 months of work across, again, 40 to 60 people, and it's imminently live.
Thank you, Sam.